Welcome to Boob Buddies. Welcome back. This is our second episode and we couldn't be more excited. What this episode is really about is really a serious and it's a big decision, an individual decision, but it comes down to is to mastectomy or not to mastectomy. So Stephanie, let's hear about your journey.
So basically it was about a 2-year journey of every 6 months I had to go for mammogram. And every 6 months they found a bunch of different things going on that needed to be biopsied. So I would say it was probably about 13 biopsies, and 13 was my positive cancer. Right away I knew I wanted a double mastectomy. There was no talking me out of it. That's what I wanted. My own personal decision. And I was so happy that I did it. I felt great after it, and I'll go through that whole journey, but I had amazing doctors, amazing friends, and being a nurse, I kind of was able to get myself through it. I took care of myself as I'm so used to taking care of patients.
Yeah.
And I really felt like it was the best thing because for me, it was more of an emotional roller coaster. Those 2 years, did they find it? Did they not find it? How bad is it? What if they didn't find it and it's worse next time? So once I knew that I had that positive diagnosis, I felt like I was good. I was like, this is it. I know this is what I want. And honestly, I've been very happy with my decision.
Yeah. And for me, it was a little bit different. I don't even know if you know this, but I found my first lump in college. It's the scariest thing in the world. Luckily, it was negative. And after that, I had 7 other lumpectomies. I actually had a doctor say to me, you are a time bomb waiting to go off, because I had very cystic breasts. And whenever I went for mammograms, I had very dense breast tissues. And if anyone's going through this, that density itself puts you at higher risk for breast cancer. So unfortunately, I witnessed many people die. My cousin passed away. And while I was caring for her, she actually grabbed me one day and said, Nora, don't let this be you. And that really made me start thinking. I was already high risk. I was on a high risk program, which means I had an MRI, an ultrasound, and a mammogram every single year. And inevitably, I always got called back.
Right.
My last lumpectomy was what they called atypical hyperplasia, which means if you don't take it out, it will turn to cancer. So if you hear those words, really think carefully about what your next steps will be. The doctors don't tell you at that point, oh, this is what we recommend.
Right.
It was me who went to my high risk nurse practitioner. She sat down. I forget the name of the test that she did. She looked at all the numbers, and I was 88% likely, without having any genetic disposition at that time, for getting breast cancer.
Right.
And at that point, she said, you should go to the surgeons and see what they say. And once I made that decision, and again, actually, I didn't really tell anyone except my husband. He was on board all the way, and I really wanted to take control of that situation, because the stress itself of watching my cousin and what she went through and then eventually died. And by the way, unfortunately, they found it for her. It was stage 1. And within a year and a half, she died. That was really tough.
Right.
So the decision for me was just, that's what I had to do.
And it was the right decision for you.
And it was the right decision for me.
And that's what brings us here, is to tell everybody that their decision is their decision. Obviously, you need to seek medical help. You need to get many opinions, but the bottom line is you have to do what you're comfortable with. So do your research. We are here. We are eager to help, but you always have to know that you're making the right decision. Don't make a decision because somebody else thinks that's the best thing for you. You need to live with your decision. And I've never, ever regretted. Now, my cancer was super early. And people said to me, are you crazy? You're going to get a double mastectomy? And you know, they could just do another lumpectomy. No, for me, I needed that out. I needed it over. I had 2 small children. I had a life to live. And my life was not going to be every 6 months going to the doctor. Well, what if, when? It's over now for me.
Right.
So I have been able to really sit back and now help others because I feel comfortable with my decision.
Yes, and for me, choosing to do a prophylactic mastectomy, I kind of held back telling people because it sounds crazy, right? And
why would you cut off a healthy part when you don't have to?
Right, and I will even say this, that I think my mother was taken back. I didn't tell her until about the week before, and she was like, you're doing what? And that is so important. Make the decision based on your own research, what your doctors are recommending. Of course, confide in a friend and a loved one. Again, we are here for you. But in the end, my prophylactic mastectomy, I think, saved my life.
Definitely.
Because when I went in for my post-op, I found out that I did have breast cancer very early. It was stage 1. I was so lucky because my surgeon, who was the same as my cousin, said, your cousin is your angel.
Right.
And she said, you did the right thing because we would not have caught this until stage 3. So, and again, it does not mean that that's right for everyone else, but that is what worked for me. Both Stephanie and I went through the first option of lumpectomy. And you can also have a lumpectomy if you are diagnosed with breast cancer. And again, your surgeon will go over all the pros and the cons. It's based on how big it is, the type it is. You can have a lumpectomy. That is one option. You can also have a unilateral mastectomy, which means you're just removing the breast that has the disease in it. Or you can then have the bilateral mastectomy, which is what both Stephanie and I did.
Right.
You can also nipple nurse. Why don't you talk about nipple sparing versus not?
I will, definitely. On that note also, I had the positive cancer on my one side, and I had said, you know what? I want them both off. I want them both off. So I went for my MRI, lit up like a Christmas tree. So I had a lot of precancer in there. So the insurance and the doctors were all on board with the double mastectomy. 10 days later, when I met with my surgeon for my pathology results, it was in my good side. So had I not opted for that double, I would have been either 6 months down the road or a little further doing it again, or possibly have missed it when it had then maybe grown a little bit more. So I kind of felt like I dodged a bullet. I went aggressive, I did the double, and I honestly never looked back. And because of that, I was nipple sparing, which I am the nipple nurse, but I was nipple sparing because it was not near the nipples. So there's all kinds of, there's ductal carcinoma, there's all different places and stuff. Mine was not really near the nipple, so they were able to be spared. But in my curiosity, I had said to my doctors, well, what happens when it is? You take the nipple off. And then that was a whole new opening of information for me. So I felt bad. I'm like, these women have to go to a place that is not medical tattoo for a nipple. So I did my research. I took several classes. I waited till I was really, really confident in my tattooing, because don't forget, this is not just a regular tattoo on your arm or your leg or your back. You're tattooing on an implant with a needle. You have to go to somebody that truly understands that understands the depth and understands what they're doing, because you've already been through so much as a patient. When you come to me for the nipple tattooing, it's really just the little cherry on the cake, if you would.
Right.
And it's the end, and I don't want to cause any problems. I want this to go perfectly. You've already gone through sometimes hell and back, and you're here now for the final stage, and I want to make that go as easily as possible. So I work very closely with your surgeons. I've been doing it. I have a private office where I do it. Everything is nicely done. And the patients really, really seem very happy.
Yeah, I'm sure that's extremely rewarding. Yeah. And there are some people that decide, if they are not nipple sparing, they decide not to put a nipple on. And what it means when you spare the nipple is you have that choice. I also had that choice because I was going for a prophylactic mastectomy. Once you are diagnosed, like Stephanie said, with cancer, then your doctor really makes that decision for you, depending on where the cancer is. Then you have less of an option with that, but there's lots of options to consider. Let's go over what people should really take into consideration before deciding about having mastectomy. For example, like the medical factors, right?
Correct. Right. There's a lot. Right. So first of all, you have to, how healthy are you? You know, are you a smoker? If you're a smoker, number one, your surgeries and your recovery time is going to be a little more difficult. Are you overweight? That's another thing that when you're in surgery and under anesthesia for a long time, these are all things that you have to think about. So these are things that I would suggest talking with your medical professional. Am I a good candidate for this surgery? At my time, I was 42. I was young, thin, fit, healthy, didn't smoke, didn't drink. I was a perfect candidate for this. And I recovered very quickly. Same with you. You're a workout person. You're at the gym all the time. You're healthy. You don't smoke. So it's all about who is the right person for what surgery. Because yes, we all want to have the surgery, but you also have to think about the recovery, and are you going to be able to do the recovery? So there's risk factors. So that will go hand in hand with what the doctor will tell you. And again, if you're a smoker, And if you're very overweight, those are the two things in the surgical world that are things you want to watch out for.
And then there's also lifestyle. What is your lifestyle like, right? Are you someone, I do have a good friend of mine that went through a mastectomy. She opted not to put, I'm kind of jumping ahead, not to put implants in because she was also, her daughter has special needs. And she was very concerned about just healing as quickly as she could so that she could be able to take care of her daughter. So your job, if you don't have enough time to take off and you can opt for a lumpectomy over mastectomy, you can take that into consideration as well. And then also you have to be emotionally ready for this. You know,
Correct.
You can't go into it lightly. It's an amputation of a body part. As a physical therapist, I dealt with a lot of amputees, limb amputees, leg, arm. This is like, and I think sometimes, at least years ago, a mastectomy was taken very lightly. Like, oh, we have cancer, we're just going to chop them off.
Yeah, you don't need it.
It is part of your body. Yeah. Even if you're someone, I had very small breasts.
Well, that's it. There's the misconception that someone with large breasts is the one that's going to get breast cancer. The very small breasts also, more often than not, have cancer. Yeah. So you have to watch out for that too.
Right. But I just thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. Yeah. They're so little. But there is an emotional side of it that I think every woman goes through that you're like, oh my gosh, wow, a part of me is gone. So
a big part of you, because a woman's breasts are a big part of them, and it's a womanly thing, and it makes you feel more feminine. And when you look down and you have cleavage, or you don't want to feel that years down the road you made the wrong decision. So and you can always switch your decisions later on if need be. But for me personally, I decided the reconstruction because I wanted to move on. I wanted to know that I felt good, and that years later, I'm with my clothes on, I looked good and I felt good, and it wasn't going to be, oh, poor Stephanie, 10, 12, 15, 20 years later. Right. It's I've moved on, and we've moved on from it, but we're here to help those that are in it right now, because you need to have that support. Yeah, there's a lot of decisions to be made, and you do not have the support, friends, family, please reach out to us. You can email us, drop us a comment below. We are here to help. That's really a huge reason why we wanted to start this podcast. Yeah, family support is big, doctor support. You have to be comfortable with your doctor. I think back in the day, it used to be, well, I'm just going to this doctor, and that's what the doctor told me to do, and that's what I'm doing. Yes, but you also have a voice. You are a person. As a nurse, I'm a patient advocate. So I am always on the patient side. Yes, I'm on the doctor's side too, medically, but I'm a hand holder, I'm a hugger, I'm a kisser. You need that advocate for you, somebody to speak for you. So the biggest thing I can say is when you do go to the doctor, have somebody come with you, have somebody jot down some notes. Those big words are very difficult. Even as a nurse, that I sat there listening to those big words and I understood them, I got home and say, is that what they said? Did they say that? Did they not say that? It was so confusing because now I was the patient. So I always suggest that somebody bring a friend to jot down some notes. Just write down some things, look things up. You'll be able to ask those questions. You'll be able to digest it a little bit later on in the comfort of your own home without being in an office. And make sure that you have a list of questions. I always use my notes section of my phone, and I have a list of questions. And of course, I let the doctors talk first, but then I always go to that list of questions because if you don't have it written down, it's very overwhelming. Making this decision, being faced with that diagnosis, it's hard enough if it's prophylactic, meaning you were not diagnosed with cancer yet. There's a whole other element once you have that cancer diagnosis and you're faced with the doctor and all these decisions. So make sure you have your notes written down. Make sure you have all of your answers before you leave that doctor's office, and definitely having at least one person there. And then my biggest recommendation is, even though you really want to make the decision for yourself, of course, with your doctors and loved ones, always reach out to someone who's been through it. I must have talked it. That's why I met Stephanie, right? That is how we met. Thank God, right? No, but always, it really, really helped me to talk to women who had been through it, to talk to women who had chosen to have a prophylactic mastectomy, whether or not their situation was like mine, multiple lumpectomies, whether or not they had a genetic disposition. And then there were those that were diagnosed with cancer first and then had the mastectomy. And taking all their perspectives in
really helped me and helped me feel better. And probably the most important thing, and I'm going to get emotional, I felt like I wasn't alone.
No, you're not. You're not alone. No,
I felt like I wasn't alone in a very, very scary time. So,
Right.
and that's what we want you to know. You are not alone. If you are facing this right now,
Yes.
you are not alone. Even if you feel like you're alone, you are not alone. You have family, you have friends,
Right.
these doctors
us.
really care, and you have us.
They do.
You're Boob Buddies.
And it's okay to lean on us, because I believe sometimes you try to be the strong person in the family, and now it's the strong person that is sick. And you might not want to show that to your family. You might need somebody else. And again, when you find a group that's already been through it, we'll get you through it. We will get you through it, and we're going to love you through it, and we're going to be here for you. Your family's going to be there, but they sometimes don't know the right thing to say. My favorite is when someone says, "Oh yeah, I had a boob job too." I'm like,
I know.
okay,
Yes.
but you know what? I
Yeah.
let it go. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm happy.
Right.
And listen, if you think I had a boob job, that means
they
did
look
a really
good.
good job. Huh? My surgeon did a good job. You're going to meet him. You're going to meet her surgeon. You're going to meet all of our surgeons soon, and they'll be able to give you the medical aspect of it also.
So listen, we are so happy that we had this discussion today. I hope that from us you get a better understanding, because someone in your life, a woman in your life, will be diagnosed with breast cancer or will have to face this. If it's not you, it's going to be someone else. And so we just want you to know that there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And if you liked this episode and it resonated with you, and there's someone you can share it with, please share it with whoever you feel this could help. If you liked it, we would love to hear from you. You can email us. You can drop a comment below this. Remember, you are never alone.
We're in
all
this
in
together.
this together. And scars are just the stars in your journey. We have to get that right.
We do. We will.
Scars are just
by
the
episode
stars.
25. We will have that one down pat.
So until next time, keep shining, keep laughing, and keep thriving.
Thank you for listening, and please share. Please reach out. Any questions, we are always here for you.
Have a great day.
Bye.